Welcome to the CPCW monthly update for pharmacy contractors and their teams for September 2021. These updates we film every month on or around the first Tuesday of every month, and there's a YouTube playlist that always has the latest topic at the top. That appears in our newsletter, so please look out for it and subscribe for it if you find it useful. So, a lot's changed since the last update we did just before the summer. Year 3 of the Community Pharmacy Contractual Framework has been announced. So this includes a few things just to go through with you today, just to make sure everyone's aware. A new pharmacy quality scheme, an expansion and a build upon the new medicines service, and 2 new advanced services. One of them looking at smoking cessations referred from hospitals, and one of them a hypertension case finding service, which is 2 parts. One involving a normal sort of clinic check, which many of you have been doing through the Cheshire and Merseyside side of the service, and the other one and an ambulatory blood pressure monitor. They are different, and we're currently meeting as an LPC next week to discuss what support we'll be offering, and also there'll be a contractor focused presentation slide deck to distribute after the AGM to really take contractors and their teams through what the changes are and what's happened with the year 3 negotiation. So look out for that. In the meantime, if you're desperate for info, everything's there. There's some really good materials on the PSNC website that will take you through things. However, we've still not quite got the latest service specs for the 2 new advanced services yet at the time of filming. So they're still waiting, and I think once we've got all those, we can start really ramping up what we're going to do to help you guide you through it. There's a few things I want to talk about this month. First of all, with GPPCS, so this is a general practices referring into the community pharmacist consultation service, and we're getting some issues with some pharmacies not responding to referrals in time. The vast majority of referrals are going really well. With 8 out of 10 of them are being dealt with fine. However, 2 out of 10 at the moment aren't quite being picked up. We think this is probably issues because of the workforce crisis we've been in at the moment with locums, with lack of staff knowledge, and unawareness in some teams when we've challenged around the timing of referrals. But we'd love to hear of any other issues or anything else that's you're struggling with, just so we can then figure out how to best help you. One thing I do want to leave you with today around this is we'd like to encourage those pharmacies offering the services to make sure the whole team are aware of the service and of the timelines. You know, any referral up till 2:30 should have a contact to the patient the same day. Anything after 2:30 maybe the next day. So build in that checking the NHS mail or checking pharm outcomes through the day. And also, do you know what? We recognise all branches have crises, so if a pharmacy or branch isn't able to offer all of the CPCS service on a particular day, please change your DOS entry, because that'll stop you getting any patients referred pointlessly. Because the worst thing we want to do is put someone at harm or at risk of disappointment. Around flu, obviously we're starting the flu season now. The service is live, although I think many of us are still waiting for our vaccines at the moment. What we've done, the PCN lead survey has gone out, so it's live on Pharm Outcomes. The PCN role with flu is the only role that a PCN lead has this time around, so the remit of a PCN lead is rather narrow this time, and therefore the funding is rather narrow, but hopefully it does mean it's a little bit easier to carry out. We've tried to help this. We've provided a Pharm Outcomes template to capture all of the contractors' intentions around flu. That's based on the PSNC template, but it's done in a Pharm Outcomes way, so questions only expand when you need to answer them, and so on and so forth. That's live now. There'll be some information going out in our newsletter this Thursday around it, but you can go ahead and do it now. And any encouragements as field managers or pharmacy teams that you can give to the other pharmacies under your remit to fill that in. It's really helpful. It helps the LPC teams know what's going on and allows us to feed back to various commissioners and various flu groups that we attend to. But it'll also allow us to prepare the PCN focus data to make the lives easier for the PCN leads. So that's really be welcomed to go through. While we're on flu, we've done a lot of work with some of our LMCs around some letters that have gone out from the system to really ensure that all contractors delivering flu, whether they're a GP, whether they're a pharmacy or whatever else, are playing nicely, effectively. So this is working cooperatively and together rather than any anti-competitive practices, and there's been some guidance provided. I just really want to remind you we do have process to try and get over that. So if we've got negative or unhelpful communications, first of all, the contractor who's aware of it, they should contact their practice to resolve that. If there's no resolution or they can't get in contact, get the LPC involved and we'll contact them, and we'll also contact the CCG and the LMC where we can. And if that doesn't work, we can also raise it to NHS England and improvement locally. And again, if we can then raise it nationally, although I don't think we've ever needed to do that. We can try and take the tension out, but this is a relatively small amount of incidents, and they're often amplified by things like postings on social media. So just please get your teams to really bear in mind there is a proper process to do it. We can make sure we do it in the right manner, and stay professional around it, as I'm sure you will. We've got a couple of news about some services. So this is Wirral based for the time being. We've got some piloting work, which is through the government's ADA programme, supporting people who abuse drugs. It's quite it's a wide-ranging programme involving the justice system, involving the police, involving some parts of health, involving some parts of the supervised consumption service and the drugs of addiction service. But what we're doing with pharmacies, we're having a look at the right ones, and the drug service is going to be choosing which pharmacies they approach. Many have been approached already. It's a 3-stage service involving a provision of naloxone. It's a weekly wellbeing wellness check for the most at-risk people, and then potentially a health check to increase access to those that don't otherwise engage in the system. So that could be quite exciting. It could be quite good and worth it for a contractor to engage in it, and certainly helps the population that they see. Will be some more news about this as it firms up. We've had knowledge that we've been progressed to the next stage for consideration on a contraception management service across 3 of our PCNs in the Wirral. So that's Brighter Birkenhead, Healthier South Wirral and Healthier West Wirral. And that's a tiered contraception service from starting people off for the first time on contraceptive tablets through to monitoring, through to onward provision. So it's really exciting. It could be really good to be part of that national pilot. And hopefully we'll continue to progress, but we'll keep communicating as we know more about that. One thing, it's going out in our newsletter this week, and I'll put the chat either in the link if you're watching on Zoom or in the video if you're watching on YouTube. There's a support for pharmacy technicians, and this is for HE support for pre-registration pharmacy technicians. So it's support for contractors to help them with significant financial assistance to train up their teams or to bring new people on board if they want to and wish to train those people up. And it could really be an excellent resource. We've not seen much information being shouted out about it from the centre. We've picked it up a few weeks ago, and we've highlighted it as a coming soon in the newsletter. We've now found the website. It's not gone out, but we're going to be putting that on our newsletter this week. And it is an application process rather than a guarantee of funding. So the application date, the closing date for application, is 26th of September for expressions of interest. And that's for students or for contractors who want students to start between January to March of 2022. And it is significant support. There's got some determining. It's quite prescriptive in the course in terms of what you need to do and how you need to take that member of staff on. But it all makes sense and it's all really well supported. So if you are thinking of training up a pharmacy technician, please take advantage of that and make sure you see where you go. Couple of other bits. The NHS app, we know that particularly Cheshire CCG are really promoting this for the patient-led ordering. It's one of the apps that's non-directional, so it doesn't direct a patient to a particular pharmacy, and actually you can't nominate a distance selling pharmacy through it whatsoever. So we've all heard of some horror stories of people inadvertently choosing a distance seller by accident and then we've all been involved in having to unwind that. You can't do that on the NHS app. I think a lot of people are showing interest in it, particularly because it's the place where you'll be getting your COVID passes through. So really just get yourselves familiar with it. And you might be getting a few more requests for either assistance or for I've ordered it via the app, and that's where that's come from. We know it's prevalent in Cheshire. I don't expect either Wirral or Warrington to be very far behind that, and I imagine all of them will be encouraging that use of that app. Last thing today is for the pharmaceutical needs assessment. There's been a pharmacy survey that's been done on pharma outcomes. We've passed one closing date and we've extended it just to give ourselves a better chance of getting 100%. So if you've not filled in the P&A template, please do so. The closer that is to 100%, the more firm a statistical basis the assessments actually the councils produce are based on. So that is a really important document. It determines where applications for new pharmacies are judged against, and the more data that they have, the richer that document will become, and the better that will do to serve us and the population, the health needs of the population. If you've got any questions, please let me know either on the call today or via the comment section on this video if you're watching on YouTube, and hopefully we'll see you next time out. Next month is scheduled for the 5th of October. Thank you.